Year one of Grant McCasland is just a week away, and in today's video, I'll give my 5 bold predictions for Texas Tech men's basketball in the 2023-2024 season. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video if you are excited about Texas Tech men's basketball in year number 1 of Grant McCasland. Quite a few new faces, but you got some coming back, as you can see in the thumbnail, with Pop, Lamar, and others as well. So if you are excited about Texas Tech men's basketball, be sure to like the video. And hey, while you're at it, you might as well subscribe too. Listen, basketball season right around the corner, right? 1 week away. We're going to be giving you game previews, the latest breaking news, and just daily videos surrounding Texas Tech men's basketball here on the channel. And the best part about it, it's 100% free. So again, think of it as a free trial period, right? Subscribe, go through the first 2-3 weeks of the season. And if you don't like what you see, unsubscribe. But I can promise you this, you're going to love the content and how engaging this community is here on the Back to 12 podcast channel. All right, before we get into my bold predictions, I want to hear from you guys. Again, we're one of the most engaging channels here on YouTube when it comes to Big 12 content, let alone Texas Tech content. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know down in the pinned comment below. What is your bold prediction for Texas Tech men's basketball this season in year number 1 of Grant McCasland? Just let me know down in the pinned comment below. All right, let's jump into my number 1 bold prediction. And again, you're going to want to stay for the last one because, well, I don't know if y'all seen it coming from how I've been talking about this team, but y'all should definitely stay around for that. Bold prediction number 1 revolves around the guy that's coming back and needed to come back for Texas Tech, and that's Pop Isaacs. I think Pop Isaacs will average north of 15.5 points per game. And I know what you're saying, RC, that's not very bold. Well, last season in the Big 12, if Pop would have averaged just 15.5 points per game, that would have ranked 8th in the conference, okay? They're going to really put Pop in a position to succeed on this offense, right? The spacing is going to be substantially better for this team. And we're going to get to a stat later that one of our loyal watchers and one of my loyal listeners over on the Twitter Spaces, Roger Hardy, pointed out to me, and it's a great stat, so you're going to want to stay around for that one as well. But as for Pop individually, okay, he shot 37.8% from 3 last year, and the spacing was awful. I think that's fair to say, right? Texas Tech is going to have more spacing. And you remember last year, Pop just had to jack up some shots late in the shot clock because the spacing was awful. The offense had no rhythm, this, that, and the other, right? I think there's going to be a lot less of that this year. And I think Pop is going to have more catch and shoot opportunities in transition, as well as in those spots on the floor where he's just an absolute sniper looking at you, the left corner arc, or the left arc, excuse me, right? So for me, I think he's going to get close to 40% when it comes down to it from 3. And it would not shock me at all if he's a 40% from the field goal, or 40% from the field, 40% from 3 and 90 from the free throw line. It wouldn't surprise me at all. So a 40-40-90 line, right? And he almost had 2 of those last year. So for me, I think there's also a disrespect aspect to this. You look at where Pop Isaac was in the preseason Big 12 honorable mentions and everything. He wasn't there. Right? And he's a guy that had a really good freshman season, all things considered, in the toughest league in America. So for me, when I look at this, Pop is going to be the biggest beneficiary, if not the biggest, probably second at worst, in terms of this new offense that Texas Tech will be running this year, and getting out in space, finding those soft spots in the defense, and really just being ready to catch and shoot at all times. Because there are some pretty solid passers, including himself on this team. Obviously, he ain't going to pass it to himself. But you got Joe Toussaint, you got Darion Williams, and you got Chance McMillan as well. Guys that can pass the basketball. So I think that Pop is going to really benefit from that this year. But let me hear from you guys. Predict it. Pop Isaacs will average blank points per game in 2023 and 2024. All right, let's jump into bold prediction number 2. And this one is bold for the sheer fact of no one did it last year, okay? I've been on the record since Darion Williams committed to Texas Tech after transferring from Nevada, again, Mountain West Conference Freshman of the Year last year, that I think he's going to be an impact player, okay? He isn't the fastest or most athletic guy, but, man, is his basketball IQ and just knowledge of his own individual game really, really high. Okay. He's a guy that the Tech staff is super high on. They think he has the potential to be a true impact player from the jump in the Big 12. He struggled against Texas A&M in the exhibition, but I don't expect that to continue. He's a really good rebounder for his size. He's 6'5" and averaged 7.3 rebounds per game last year as a true freshman in the Mountain West Conference, and I get it. It's not the Big 12. It's nowhere near the Big 12, but that's impressive regardless of the league that you're in as a true freshman. And he's also a really good passer. So again, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. I think he does that for Texas Tech. And as I mentioned a little earlier, no player in the Big 12 did this last year. Nobody went 10-5-5. I think Darion Williams does that for the Red Raiders in 2023, 2024. All right. As for the bold prediction number 3 for me, Texas Tech will improve their three-point percentage as a team by at least 2.5%, right? This kind of goes back to the spacing aspect with Pop. I don't think Pop is going to be the only guy that comes in and is a great shooter for Texas Tech. I think they have plenty of them, right? When you think about Kerwin Walton being at best your 4th best shooter, that's pretty good, right? And then you got Darion Williams as well. That's your 5th best shooter. That's pretty good. And I get it. They may not have huge roles on this team, but that really tells you what kind of shooting is on this roster right now, right? So if you go back and you look at where Texas Tech ranked last year in terms of what they shot per game, they shot 34.5% last year from 3. Was middle of the pack in the Big 12, right? But if you would have added 2.5% to that, they'd be the number 1 shooting team in the Big 12. Okay, so we're looking around 37% as a team. And there will be nights where Texas Tech is streaky. But again, going back to Roger, shout out to him for this stat. I thought it was a phenomenal one, and follow him at Roger_Hardy on Twitter. He says this about Grant McCasland's teams, right? And this is something that really stood out to me, the stat that he said. Arkansas State shot 31.6% on trays the year before McCasland arrived, and then shot 38% as he turned them instantly into a 20-game winner, a 9-game improvement. North Texas shot 32% on threes the year before Grant arrived, and then upped it to 35.6% as he instantly turned them into a 20-game winner, a 12-game improvement. And listen, this is a bold prediction, but this one feels like it's the most likely of the ones I'm going to give you today. Simple and plain. This team is much improved when it comes to shooting, and I know a lot of people heard about that last year, and maybe, they're hesitant to buy into it. But if you look at Grant McCasland's track record, and Roger does a great job of laying that out for everybody, they're going to have an improvement here. If you go by the law of averages in terms of McCasland's first year at Arkansas State and his first year at North Texas, you combine them, his teams increase their three-point percentage by 5%. Right? If Texas Tech did that, they'd shoot 40% damn near as a team. I don't think that's going to happen. Cut it in half for me, and I still think you're at a really solid number, and you're talking about one of the 3 best shooting teams in the Big 12 easily, in my opinion. All right, let's jump into bold prediction number 4, and that is Texas Tech will at least win 5 games against AP top 25 teams this season. As we all know, there's plenty of opportunities to do this in the Big 12, right? Almost damn near every given night is a top 25 team. But I think Texas Tech gets their first top 25 victory of the season. I guess they technically had one. It doesn't count, right? But anyway, the one that actually counts on the overall record down in the Battle of Atlantis against Villanova, right? I think that springboards Texas Tech to having a solid season from the bold prediction standpoint and getting them to those top 5 or 5 AP top 25 wins, So again, when you look at this, my biggest takeaway for Grant McCasland in terms of him as a coach individually, right, is simple and plain. He turns programs around that quick. Drop of a hat, right? And now am I saying Texas Tech is going to get back to the Final Four? And I know y'all see Jarrett Culver behind me right now. Are they going to get back to that in year number 1? No. But I do think this team is going to be much better coached and much better positioned in terms of their strengths and what they do well on both sides of the floor and not just the defensive side of the floor. So that's really what I'm excited about when it comes to Grant McCasland. All right, the last one. Hopefully y'all sticked around for it. Bold prediction number 5. Texas Tech will return to the NCAA tournament and win a game. If y'all listen to me, this probably isn't what you're expecting, but we're going bold here, people. Okay. I'm high on a lot of things that Texas Tech is doing. I'm also skeptical on some, right? The depth in the front court is something that I'm actually concerned about. If Warren Washington goes down, who are you playing as a big? You don't really have one that's above the height of 6'8", right? But I do think the pace is something that teams are going to struggle with when they play Texas Tech. They have interchangeable guards. You got Lamar, you got Pop, you got Chance, right? The list goes on about how many guys you have that can be a primary ball handler for stretches. I didn't even mention Darion, right? So you've got those guys, right? And I think, again, McCasland has proven time and time again that he succeeds quickly everywhere he goes. It doesn't matter if it's the JUCO ranks, Arkansas State, North Texas, it does not matter. He wins wherever he goes, and he does it at a high rate very quickly, right? So I think Texas Tech is going to be one of those teams that catches some people off guard in terms of, oh, well, Texas Tech used to be slow and focus on defense. They're going to focus on defense and physicality, but don't get it twisted. They're going to get out in transition and try and get some easy baskets too with the plethora of guards they have that can lead the fast break, right? So again, for me, remember, a lot of players on Texas Tech's roster actually have tournament experience as well, okay? Chance McMillan hooped. I mean, he balled out against Gonzaga, right? You got Kerwin Walton. He was on the UNC national championship team when they were the runner-up, right? You've also got guys in there like Warren Washington, Devin Cambridge, right? Like you've got guys that have played in the NCAA tournament, okay? So really, when I look at this, it's bold, don't get me wrong, because we don't know what to expect. But I also think this is something that could actually happen if Texas Tech gets the luck factor in the health department. But I want to hear from you guys. Will Texas Tech make the NCAA tournament in year number 1 of Grant McCasland? Simple Y for yes or in for no. And one more time, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button for free daily Texas Tech men's basketball videos all year long right here on the most engaging Texas Tech community on YouTube. Of course, I'm talking about the Back to 12 podcast channel.